So maybe you've been called lazy, irresponsible, hard to communicate with, bone idle, uncaring, cold, and forgetful. Or maybe you are always frustrated with how last minute you are, how much you lack to be productive, and maybe feel like there's something quite not right with your brain. Maybe you've spent over 2 weeks to tidy up your house, or maybe you are the person that stays up late to complete tasks and then kind of just waits for that motivation to kick in. Newsflash, it's probably because of your trauma, neglect, abuse, stress, something you've experienced in the past that makes you want to just mentally switch off all the time to avoid negative feelings. So, let's dive in and learn how to overcome your procrastination without the hustle culture mentality, shall we? Hey, I'm danidsilvez, and it's my duty on the internet to help you reparent yourself to win at life and actually enjoy living, instead of just letting your past traumas kind of keep you stuck in survival mode. So here we go. The first thing you need to know is your brain is wanting to protect you. Might not feel like it, but procrastination, it's actually not laziness. It's more than that, but it's disguised in things that we do from time to time, things that we all do. Could be going on a phone for hours, being late to appointments, not paying bills on time. So really, it's small stuff that we think is acceptable. But when we think about how much procrastination is kind of getting in the way of our careers, our relationships and health, that's when there is a problem, and that's where trauma is the reason. So the TLDR here is this. Those of us that have had childhood trauma find life hard. Life is hard for the average person, please don't get me wrong. But for us whose mental pathways were inhibited or created much later than they should have been, or created through trauma, we're always in a state of survival, so the smallest of tasks are stressful and very draining. In comparison to someone that hasn't experienced trauma, they don't understand why we burn out so often from doing, in their words, so little. Existence for trauma survivors is like going one night with 3 hours sleep and then taking 2 weeks to catch up on that sleep. It's going to feel pretty sluggish. And of course, what is trauma? Well, it's a lasting emotional response caused from an event, relationship, or environment where you didn't feel safe. So our brain remembers how unsafe, alone, neglected, and abused we were, and then it will scan the world for the rest of our lives so that we are avoiding those negative feelings. However, trauma kind of muddles up our thinking process, and we end up seeing lots of stuff as traumatic when it isn't, so our brain incorrectly labels slight inconveniences as traumatic. It's kind of like hypervigilance in a nutshell. And the more we procrastinate, the more stress we create, that ends up keeping us stuck in PTSD mode. We end up stressing out more because I've only got 3 days to read all of those books and I have an essay due in. Or it could be, wow, I have to pay a late fee because I submitted my taxes late. Or damn, now I have to panic tidy my house as my friends are coming over in 20 minutes. Or maybe I'm going to be late to this appointment and there's nothing I can do about it. Racing against the clock is stressful. Slow and steady always wins the race. So we will avoid doing stuff that's a lot of hard work or boring because negative emotions don't feel good. What does avoidance really mean for you? We are trying to protect ourselves from some icky feelings that will happen if we start that task. Exhaustion comes with trauma, a state of overwhelm and freeze mode. So really, everything else that isn't what we want to do is more fun. I would much rather watch cute dog videos on YouTube than do a laundry wash. We all have these feelings, but why are you putting off certain tasks? Do you think that you won't do a great job? Maybe the work you need to do is intimidating, it's boring, does it make you feel uncomfortable? Maybe you feel that you are struggling with expressing yourself, so you're putting this thing off. Or maybe you find it really hard to actually talk with people. So it sounds silly. Maybe you're not going to the gym because you don't feel good enough, or I'm not washing my laundry because I find interactions with people scary. But there is a past event that kind of taps you into that reason of procrastination. It could be your parents emotionally starved you, you were never encouraged to do what you enjoyed, or you were mocked when you did something that you were proud of. If you grow up feeling invisible, you will struggle to express yourself and do that coaching call. You will struggle to call up, say, your landlord to get that repair on your rental home started. We are almost frightened of the worst thing that could happen when we start that thing we need to do. Like, oh my God, my boss will mock me in front of the whole office and I'll lose my job and everyone will laugh at me. So, forgive yourself for procrastinating. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are simply just living through your trauma, and it's normal for trauma survivors to have that feeling. You are welcome here, and you will find ways to make living easier, I promise. Waiting for that burst of motivation is a lie. You may think I would just recharge a little bit by scrolling through social media and then I will have the energy to make a start on my to-do list. And you already know that from your own experience, this is not the case. I see this in myself. I'm tired and I've reached my limit for the day, so I'll go to bed. But rather than give my body what it wants, which is sleeping, I end up dragging it out for about 30 minutes by scrolling on my phone. And then I'm like, Danny, girl, you're tired, go to sleep. Why deprive yourself of something that you need? And some mornings I will wake up and scroll Reddit, waiting for that burst of holy damn, I have motivation to get what I need to do. The reality is, you won't ever get that feeling, you just have to push through. And this is a very common feeling that we all feel on a daily basis. Now, in regards to those of us that are blessed with childhood trauma, when we don't heal our wounds before we start that healing journey, we actually find ourselves in this constant state of grey, overwhelmed with everything, trying to distract ourselves from the stress of everyday living. Unhealed trauma and living is stressful as. Now, I think back to 5 years ago when I was deep in the midst of my trauma and I procrastinated all the time. Life was stressful. Everything was stressful. Going to work full time, remembering to put my rubbish outside for the garbage truck to collect was stressful. Remembering to just buy food and cook meals was stressful. Feeding my fish, stressful. So recognize that if you procrastinate a lot and you find daily life a little overwhelming, this is a sign to start healing your wounds. And let me tell you, it gets easy. The more time you allow for yourself to heal, the easier it gets. And now, the final grand reveal, which is probably going to actually disappoint you. So are you ready? You have to just get on with it. Yeah, tough love. Feel free to exit this video because sadly I can't give this to you in a nicer way. Life will continue whether you are ready for it or not. Your car will eventually stop working if you don't put petrol in it, despite how many times you avoid going out to fill up. Your friends' get-together is still happening despite how much it makes you feel uncomfortable that you were invited. Your essay still needs to be submitted regardless if you put the work into writing the assignment or stay up the night before to do it. And I know that's not what you want to hear because that just makes you feel uncomfortable, but it's the reality. You can procrastinate and procrastinate and procrastinate and nothing will magically change. Life will still happen without you and you are avoiding doing things because of the stress. But then you end up getting more stress when you're like, damn, I gotta do this thing straight away. So take that to-do list and give yourself baby steps. It's the only way you can make this work. Get rid of what isn't important and do the most boring things first. The stuff that you know you don't want to do, get it gone. Give yourself a 20-minute burst to just get started, and getting started is the hardest part. Then take a break and continue, which brings me to, you don't need avoidance. You don't need apps to get stuff done. You don't need a fancy day planner. You can simply just start off with a pen and a bit of paper, write down 3 to 5 small tasks that you can do in a day, and the boring things have to be done first. Then give yourself 20 minutes to just get started, and those icky feelings, they will go. Those first 20 minutes could be a bribe to yourself. Okay, look, this task sucks. How about we just do 20 minutes and then take a 5 to 10 social media binge? And I promise you, when you make a start, it all seems to flow. Structure your action plan correctly. Make a list that removes your stress from the brain and put it onto paper. Even writing down, I need to wash my work clothes, get them dry, ready for tomorrow, which is really boring. That's good enough. But the most important thing, be very, very realistic about how long that task will take for you to complete. Because it's easy, right, to write down 20 things to do, but what can you actually do in one day? And that includes time to decompress, eating, bathroom breaks, life admin, etc. So if you need to set an alarm to remind yourself to do it, then do it. Maybe you need to set an alarm for when the washing machine finishes its wash cycle so that you don't leave wet clothes getting engrossed inside the washing machine. And if it helps, have an alarm that is in a different room so you have to physically walk to it to turn it off, because encouraging body movement will encourage you to crack on with that task. Next up, number the things to do in level of importance to complete, and the boring jobs always take high importance so that you can complete them in that order. Think of it this way, if you leave the boring stuff until the end of the day, you will still spend a lot of mental energy on that task that you don't want to do by feeling guilty or shame throughout the day when you are interrupted during your procrastination sessions with a, damn, I need to really get this thing done by the end of the day. Just get on with it as the very first thing you do in the morning. Get it gone, get it away. Add in regular breaks on your to-do list. Now, I use the Pomodoro method. 25 minutes of work, then 5 minutes break, and I repeat this 5 to 6 times, and then take a 30-minute break. And I cannot stress this enough, take regular breaks. Us people that have PTSD, we need it. And it can be hard, I know, when you have a corporate job. You can't just do 25 minutes of work and then go outside for a walk. So fit in a mental break when you can. Going on your phone is overstimulating. The blue light spectrum and attention grabbing stuff on our phones is going to wear us out. So take a break where you just stretch your body, get back into your present self, inhale deeply, drink some water. And a healthy to-do list always includes breaks. If you are a Beyonce fan, you've probably heard, we all have the same hours in the day as Beyonce. And yeah, we actually don't. I got trauma, baby. I need 2 hours to mentally prep for the task, 3 hours to complete the task, and then 2 hours to decompress after that task. Find your own motivation. Make yourself proud by winning at life, by getting on with what you need to do. You have yourself, and making yourself proud, let me tell you, it's so rewarding. Just think how great you're going to feel when you get that big, boring task out of the way, and keep reminding yourself how great it will feel to go back to, say, education, to have that degree, to better your life financially. Motivate yourself with what works for you, and don't let yourself down. Plan as much as you can in advance. Winning at life is all about planning in advance to make life easy around those trauma triggers. For me, personally, if I have a task to do, say research, script recording, editing videos, if I have a deadline coming up and I don't do a little bit of work every single day, I will naturally just leave everything to the last day, and then I power through, not eating anything nutritious, maybe ordering a takeaway, not sleeping well, and then poof, my stress levels are like up here, I'm snappy at people, and my self-destructive behaviors happen because I think, wow, I'm so stupid, I left this all to last minute, I'm not good enough, my clients are gonna hate me, why am I even here? So it's all about planning in advance to get things done so that you don't slip back into self-destructive behaviors. So the healthy way to plan my previous example is to just do a little teeny tiny bit every single day. So I can still live in a healthy way, eating good food, taking breaks, sleeping well, and I just chip away at that big job over a longer period of time. Next up, pushing through the bad times. Let's address it. Sometimes in life, we have to do things when we really don't have the energy for it. Now, if you can limit this from happening often, that is key. But maybe you need to do something when you are struggling. If you can't get someone to help you and you cannot delegate that task to anyone, you still have to get it done. So sometimes that means getting things done when you are feeling tired and having a tiny bit of stress, but self-care afterwards so you de-stress. A very popular example is not cooking a meal because of how tired you are and ordering in unhealthy food. Now, realistically, it probably takes the same time to cook as what it does to actually wait for the food to be delivered. And you can cook quick, nutritious food because let's say if we opt for unhealthy fast food and this is a self-destructive behavior for you, it's not a great step forwards, especially if you are a binge eater or use food to soothe your anxieties. Never underestimate the simplicity of just poached eggs on toast with a protein shake or fruit smoothie as a last night meal. It's easy, quick, good for the brain, good for the body. Sometimes we go to bed without brushing our teeth, showering, or taking off our makeup. I always do this. So we need to do these things, otherwise, things get bad. And yes, we may feel tired, but we have to do them anyway and push through. Otherwise, we take a mental step back. Push through on these tiny things and you will feel better afterwards. But sometimes you won't be able to get anything done. Maybe a trauma trigger is happening and you need this time for a deep rest, which is also known as depression. So if you get to this point and despite how many breaks you have given yourself from the stress of life, then accept you just have to rest and nothing can be done. Your mind and your body wants to heal. So do what feels good for you and get rid of that to-do list. Maybe seek therapy, speak to some great friends, and really identify what's going on, your emotions and how you are feeling so that you know what you need to get back on track. And let me tell you this, the more time you spend healing your trauma, the easier life gets. The less downtimes you experience, the less procrastination you face too. So please don't feel bad if you are really struggling, just do what you can to make a start. And please seek help when you end up stuck in this limbo of having zero motivation and procrastinating like your life depends on it. This is a moment when you need therapy and it will really help. So guys, I really hope that has helped you. It's been quite a long video, but there's been some great tips in today's video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I wish you all the best. See you very soon.